Greetings and blessings, family. Sister Ajali. I am so delighted that I don't have to report that this young brother is gone, murdered, but we don't know what state his comprehension, his recovery is going to achieve. He, as you could read from the headline, scholar, I'm going to talk more about all the meaning behind this. Ralph Yarl, 16, is shot twice in the head by white homeowner after ringing wrong doorbell, picking up his twin brothers in Kansas City. Quote-unquote musical genius begged neighbors for help, but they refused. Cops release gunman from custody. Now, I'm in the middle of editing all of this together. These dudes, they throw so much at you that sometimes you forget to notice little things. But I find it interesting that right here, the gunman's been released from custody. What the hell? You shot a boy twice in the head. I don't care if it was a mistake or not. You should not be released into the public at all because you are a danger. How in the world could you just haul off and shoot someone who obviously is a child? Oh, but for you, it was Pookie and Ray Ray, right? And what I also noticed, I went back to try to just have a, seamless edit and put it all together. But notice they remove that last part where the gunman has been released from custody. I guess that was just a little bit too upsetting for Black you and me. Or too much for all the white readers of the Daily Mail to have it shoved in the face that their whole society is against Black us. Now back to my original commentary. There's so much to say. I am going to stave off breaking into tears because there's so much that needs to be said. It's so wrong. Number one, just what I say, it is always the wrong doorbell when you are in the wrong nation. By that, I don't mean we need to move on over to Africa, because Africa is going to be wiped off the planet because they worship Europeans and everything they're about. And that has created a situation unnaturally because of the Europeans, not because of the Africans, but there's a lot of Africans who are like the Hutsis and the Tutsis, I do believe is the name of the two tribes that white people went on in and took full advantage of, just like Sir John Hawkins went in, found the tribes that had any kind of disagreement and just were wedging in to cause further disagreement. Same thing they're doing with the gender war. Same thing they're doing by absolutely no depictions of sane Black families whatsoever, let alone Black love. And right now they're going to have Silly Porter playing James Baldwin. First off, yes, I have respect for James Baldwin, but it's almost like a tradition. You were just born, James Baldwin, but he was homosexual. Even though he was a heck of a lot saner than the homosexuals that they have just blown smoke up their behinds, no pun intended, to give them just a prima donna concept of what they do and how they do it, when if they all went off to a little island by themselves and practice what they swear is the real them, they would exterminate themselves within 50, 60 years. And so they're just substituting sanity in our Black communities so that we think living in the midst of white people is a hypergamous move. And it's nothing of the sort when you have enemies in charge of what you think about yourself. Even in this headline, why is it when a Black person is shot and is definitely, I mean, you can see, and there's innocence all over the place. They got to bump up the marketability. They've got to bump up the pathos for white people by saying, oh, but he's a scholar. That's why nobody went to help him. What's he supposed to walk around with, a big old giant sign that says, I'm a scholar? Is he supposed to show a picture of him sitting in the middle of a band with a bunch of white people? Which, when you conceptualize it, is hysterical, because we never needed to be around white folks to be better musicians. As a matter of fact, they had to gravitate towards us to learn how to play their instruments better. But I'm certain that when you have someone who's at Juilliard or wherever, and those folks are teaching, you compliment yourself on your success when it's actually a failure. I'm just saying. But I'm just saying, if he wasn't in the midst of those people, if they didn't know him from Jack or from Pookie and Ray Ray, would they then just assume, like all these other people around, oh, you just a thug? It astounds me how they never change their stereotype about us, no matter how many ways we prove, oh, our scholars don't deserve to be shot just randomly. Oh, but Pookie and Ray Ray, no, shoot them. Well, Pookie and Ray Ray ain't in charge of Fukushima. They aren't in charge of these nuclear facilities. They also aren't doing what random white people do. I'm not saying that there aren't confused Black people out there. There are. I'm not saying that every single white person out there is nuclear apologists. And if you're actually a good person, you don't need other people to think that you're a good person in order to keep being one. That always, they're like, oh, Black people, they're just insulting us and they're doing this and that. I think I'm going to be a devil now. No, stop. Okay? So I'm just going over, no matter how many white people out there committing crimes, they always look at us as the thugs. Drunk recovering meth addict, 36, admits stabbing her boyfriend, 39 to death after he barricaded himself in his apartment to try and stop her from breaking in. White people. Brazilian mother strangles son, 11, to death because he kept playing on his phone late into the night, weeks after he recorded a poem saying how much he loved his mom. White people. And I'm just briefly going over some of the stories. I have two files, The Perfect Man and The Perfect Woman. And it's all about non-Black folks and the crimes that they committed, the things that they do. I mean, if I see another white female teacher accused of rape, is crazy, okay? But here we go. Japanese girl 3 starves to death after her mother left her alone for 8 days so she could visit her boyfriend 600 miles away. You get, I don't know how many cases like this, but I watch a lot of Asian movies, and this is something that they'll go over in their Asian movies often. So this is something that just happens. A lot of these women, in order to date at all, they have to pretend, in their own heads, that they are not single mothers, and that they have no children. Otherwise, the men won't want anything to do with them. For me, I was a single mom until my son was 7, and then I met Dr. Z. I told anyone who I was even talking to randomly and wasn't even thinking about dating, I've got a son. I was proud of that. That was, if you don't want to be with me and my son, then you don't want me and I don't want you. Okay? It was that simple. And as I said, all white people? No, of course not. But how are we going to be able to pick and choose? And how are we going to be safe if they're fearing divine retribution from Pookie and Ray Ray and Shaniqua, and we have to walk around with giant signs that say, I'm a scholar. I'm now brain dead, maybe in a hospital, because I wasn't wearing my big sign that says, no, I'm one of the black people who just does all the things that you admire. You surely don't admire me just needing to be free, whether I'm a scholar or a regular, ordinary, daggone person. You don't admire that. So 5-year-old A.J. Freund told his mom he wanted really bad people to do bad things to her so he wouldn't have to ever see her again 2 weeks before she beat him to death with a shower head. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. We weren't anywhere in the mix of that. Chicago teenager, 19, is sentenced to 27 years in prison after hacking her Uber driver to death with a machete and a knife. Well, how about that? The neighbors would have done something to save her, I'm quite sure. And as I said, that's just the women. This is the men, and it just, the men gonna be even worse. But it just goes on and on and on. And yeah, they don't abandon each other in the street to bleed out, and it would be a 16-year-old boy. German children's father had tried to take his own life only months before their mother poisoned the 5 boys and girls and jumped on railway tracks. Okay, so the whole idea that, we black women, we're just the worst mothers, because we are the most targeted for every stereotype in the world, race on the planet. We believe we are the worst people on the planet. Everybody else believes it too. And it is the biggest lie, which led directly to Fukushima, because that is what they hope to use to kill all of black us. But it is killing all of white them too. I got nothing to say on that score. I just wish this young man a speedy recovery from all that ails him. I pray he gets all his faculties and he can stay strong through the recovery. I pray that he understands what happened and why it happened. His parents understand what happened and why it happened. I don't blame them, but I'm just saying we got to get the word out. Separation, that is the key. And Fukushima is the proof. That's the word. It is the proof that separation is good for every single race and nationality of people on this planet, because we are so targeted, yet we are so powerful. We have been able to free ourselves from the worst of slavery, the worst of Jim Crowism. We have astounded the world. And I know they love what we produce, but at the same time, they just are so upset because it makes us hard to kill. So that's why Fukushima was exploded. That's why they hid the fact that there are remedies that they proved in Chernobyl. That is why separation is good for the entire planet, and so that they can finally recognize, okay, we need these black people, because there is a sister out there working tirelessly on behalf of her people, which is good for everybody, to know there are ways to chelate radiation out of the body, because that's the one thing about black us. When we know there is a job to be done, we get busy, right? We do what needs to be done. I am 100% pro-black us, but that doesn't mean I want to hurt anybody. With them, when they're 100% pro whatever tribe they come from, it always comes attached with trying to destroy us, and it is now destroying the planet. So I need your help. I need your help. Go to 25,000 Year Cycle. Purchase my holistic soaps, my novels, which are outstanding, and most importantly, Furnace of Affliction. And I got to thank Brother Iyapa Yapa, because Brother did a whole live, oh, it was powerful, about Fukushima being the real atomic dog and not Freaknik. It was amazing. And he did all my covers. He is constantly working to gain control over our narrative. I meant to mention him in the live I did with Dr. Z yesterday, and I forgot all about it, and I just felt heartbroken that I did that. And so shout out to that amazing black man. I'm going to put a link to his channel at the very top of my pinned comments. Go get your cure on. Furnace of Affliction, healing, radiation, damage to the human body. I am not talking my opinion here. I'm talking the facts. There's cures, and you need them. I'm just telling you, they're shipping that radioactive food directly to all our plates through the FDA. Food directly grown in Fukushima. What the hell? Yes, we need to separate, starting with our actions. So support me, and I can get that spectrogram to test our food. We need that. I love your family. Straight black family pride. And we are on our way to forever. Peace and blessings. And all my best to that young man.